Hello. Hello, hello. Um, Welcome to the Shits and Giggles episode of Breath of Life Conversations this week. Guys, I'm gonna be I'm gonna be honest because that's like what we do. Um, I wish that I wish that I had like a topic other than like all this shit that is going on out there in the world today. And very specifically, like what's happening in my world right now, which is an occupation of a state and like tearing apart of families and executions in the streets and chemical deployment on children and traumatizing of children and families. Like, guys, I wish that I had another topic. And I'm sure that you guys are sitting here going, Abigail, like, it's always doom and gloom with you lately. Like, you're just contributing to the doom scroll. And your content used to be so educational and so valuable and so informative. And it helped me like keep my health and it helped me get healthy. And why can't you just go back to that? Guys, I want to remind you of who I am. Okay, because I feel like some people have forgotten, but more importantly, what I think is like, excuse like my hair like sticking up everywhere. Um, what I think even more people have forgotten is not even so much knowing me, but they've forgotten who they are. So let me remind you who I am. And then maybe, just maybe, it'll help you remember who you are. Because I think that this is really, really, really super important. It's super important. And I'm seeing so many individuals or I've had conversations with individuals, both here and outside of the state, who seem to have forgotten who they claimed to be. And so I just want to go over this. So hi to anybody who doesn't know who I am. This is my reintroduction to those of you who have known me for a while, but you know what? There's been a lot of transformations for me. There's been a lot of things that have changed. So let me tell you who I am. My name is Abigail. I am the eldest of four. I'm the only daughter. I am a registered nurse, proudly. I am a medical intuitive, proudly. I certified as a professional intuitive in, oh my gosh, I'm gonna forget the exact year, but it was before COVID. So I want to say like 2018, somewhere around there. Um, and I've been a nurse now working in the emergency room for a decade. Yep, 10 years. That's really, really hard for me to even believe because it doesn't feel like it's been that long, but what that does mean is that I worked in the emergency room exclusively, well, not exclusive, like since the beginning of my career. In 10 years, I've only worked outside of the ER for 1 year. Okay. The very first year that I ever worked as a nurse, I actually grew up in the time of where nurses had to prove themselves and prove their knowledge before they could go into critical care spaces. So, like, before you could even go into ER or ICU, you had to spend a year somewhere else. You had to go to like med surg, for example, and that's where I started. I did a year of med surg. And then I went and was like, nope, med surg is not for me. I always knew critical care was for me. I always knew that I was going to be going to some form of critical care. Emergency was always something that I really, really want to do because I love the idea of actually helping people. This is something that's so core and fundamental to my like system that I like. I can't get away from it. Helping people who really need my help, okay? Who really need my help is something that is so ingrained in me since I was a child. I have stories. I have so many stories. And one of my favorite stories is not even something that I personally remember. It is a story that my mom told me, and I'll get to that in just a second. But other than that first year, I have spent the rest of my time in emergency rooms. And I've worked in small hospitals, I've worked in critical access hospitals. I now work in a standalone ER where we see lots of different things. We can't control what comes in. I mean, you can never control what comes in. So I've pretty much seen everything from deer versus motorcycle, um, husband and wife, internal decapitations, um, you know, uh, partial amputations, um, um, gunshot wounds, like impalements, um, just like incredibly traumatic things that for the person, right? And then on top of it, I've worked before COVID, I've worked during COVID, and I never got sick during COVID. So I was working a ridiculous amount of hours. I do admit I got burnt out. I ended up like thinking I will quit nursing because I can't do this anymore. I want to help in a better way. There was a whole like Dark Night of the Soul thing that happened, Saturday Return that happened during COVID. And then I was like, I'm gonna get Breath of Life, my business, my medical intuitive business that teaches you how to bridge the gap between modern medicine and energetic medicine and teaches you how to heal faster and stay healthy and get into your most optimal level of functionality. I built that business. I was like, I'm gonna do that. So I quit nursing and then realized that I knew nothing about business from a business perspective. And my whole wishing, hoping that things were just gonna work out was just not it. Like you gotta have some understanding of structure. And 8 months later, I was right back in the ER and working once again. Um, and I'm still there. I'm still working there. It's been almost like an additional like 4 years. That's that side of it. Now, when let me get back to what I was saying about helping people is so baked into who I am. I have my favorite story, guys, and maybe some of you know this. My favorite story is actually a story that my mom told me because I have no memory of it. I was too little to have a memory of it. She said that when she was pregnant with me, my father was a shithead, okay? He's dead now. Doesn't even matter. Anyway, so she she got pregnant with me. My father left, um, and she was on her own. She had like lost all of her money because she was young and stupid. Don't worry, she knows that. She says this herself, so I'm not defaming my mom or anything like that. But she was young and dumb, as they are, and she was 23 and was a baby herself, had me, and where she had been living while she was like in the late stages of pregnancy with me, that like last month of her pregnancy, she was living in a women's shelter run by Catholic nuns. And this women's shelter was actually really built for women who were in abusive relationships trying to get out or who were addicted to drugs. And you were allowed to stay there as a woman until you had given birth. After you'd given birth, you got maybe a couple of days, maybe a week or so to kind of get yourself together, but like you couldn't stay there anymore and you had to like find someplace else to go. And so this woman's shelter ended up having kind of like this nursery for babies who had been born in withdrawal, essentially. They had been born addicted to drugs. And so my mom said that after she had me, she was the first, like, she was given like that week or whatever, week and couple of days to kind of figure out what she was going to do. And in that time, one of the things that the nuns would do is would say, "Can we take Abigail and put her into the cribs with the babies who are withdrawing, because these babies that were withdrawing were in so much physical pain. I'm pretty sure very few of my listeners probably know what going through withdrawal is. I don't know. Maybe there's a lot of you who know what it is. But anyway, I don't mean to like broad brush anybody, but if you have never gone through withdrawals, what I can tell you, not from a personal like knowledge of this, but from 10 years as a nurse, it is incredibly painful to withdraw off of drugs. And it is like physically painful, okay, for the body. And so all of these babies were crying and crying, and they just would not, they couldn't get comfortable. They couldn't sleep, they couldn't rest. And so the nuns would take me. They figured out, I don't know how, but they asked if they could take me, and they would lay me in the cribs with the babies that were withdrawing. And because of my energy and because of my healing abilities, even as a baby, these babies would immediately quiet down. They would immediately get into this space where they could sleep, where their bodies weren't so stressed out. And I will tell you, this is like one of the things that I still have kind of in my arsenal. It's something that I've continued to like hold, is that somebody who is in pain, I can sit in their room with them and I can help with their pain. If I am holding their hand, I can take some of their pain. If, kids come in and they're hurting, I tend to come in and I tend to look at them and I tend to be able to like just pull their pain and their discomfort away from them, and they'll immediately quiet down when there's been the doctor in there and the respiratory therapist and other people in there. And Abigail comes in, and all of a sudden, like all it takes is about a minute of me just sitting and looking at them, and their systems calm down. I just had this happen like the other night, actually, just last night. There was this poor baby who was feeling so uncomfortable, had a fever, vomiting up everywhere, and was just so uncomfortable. And I walked in and I just leaned over the bed, put my hands on their hands, and said, "You're gonna be okay." And they immediately stopped crying. They immediately calmed down. Um, Adults tend to not be as receptive to this, because adults are guarded and jaded, and they just have gotten life hooked into them. So while I can still do it with adults, you really just have to be like open to it and stuff. So I've had adults tell me like, "Abigail, I'm no longer in pain after just like you sitting in here." But anyway, that's like my favorite story. And that's what I mean when I say that helping people who truly need my help, not some like bullshit like, "Oh, I've got a paper cut and I don't know how to like it hurts." Like, and I say that in that way because I need people to understand like I want to help people who like need my help. Like if you truly honestly, if you're a child and you got a paper cut, then you don't know how to like handle it. I will be there for you 100%. But there are so many adults that just are in this like victimhood mentality where it's like even something as simple as that, where it's like put some ice on it, take some Tylenol, put some gentle pressure on it, like things that you think like you can critically think about these things. Like those things I'm kind of like, okay, like I will help you, but I need you to understand like you can also help yourself. So there's this whole like let me teach you how to help yourself and let me help you when you really, really need it. And my expertise outweighs your knowledge, right? So that's what I mean by it's like a built into me to help. This is not something that just like came out of the blue because something happened to me. No, I literally came out of the womb being like, I am a healer. Let me help you if you need help. So, guys, in addition to this, I am the eldest daughter. Okay. And if you have never met an eldest daughter before, let me like just tell you that eldest daughters are fucking helpers. They're helpers, they're nurturers, they're the beta mothers, they're sometimes the alpha mothers. You really cannot find it's hard to find. I'm sure there's probably at least one out there, but it's hard to find an eldest daughter that It doesn't just immediately see a problem and go to fix it. We're very much in of a mindset similar to just the male species, where male species tend to be like, what's the problem? Let me fix it. Eldest daughters are like that, where we're like, just let me just do it. And half the time we're taking on more than we can actually handle and still figuring it the fuck out. Like, that's just who we are. Okay. Now, I'm also a Virgo. So let that be like, let that say what it needs to say. If you don't know anything about Virgos, go look it up. I'm also a Scorpio. So once again, like, if you don't know what that means, go Google it, figure it out. I am a 6-2 manifester. Once again, Google it, figure it out. I'm telling you, it all makes sense. Um, and I am a person, honestly, that I would say like at the front, I'm like, I don't give a fuck what happens to me. I don't. Whatever outcome is going to happen to me, whatever my life is going to look like, at the end of it, I will stand in front of Creator and I will be able to say that the one thing that I was tasked to do was to help people, and I did that. I accomplished that. I changed this world for the better. Not because I stuck my head in the sand, not because I was selfish and said, well, how much money can I make? And not because I sat and distanced myself from the world, acting as if me saying, well, because I say I'm of love and light, but I'm over here isolating on a mountaintop, that must mean that I have passed every test. No. No, I've always been the person that says, let's go outside, let's play, let's run around, let's figure it out. Let's learn everything that we can. I'm not a person who tends to do things messy. I like to like gather all of the information. I like to find people who have expertise. I like to like really get into like what it means to like understand something and then do it. I like doing things the right way first. There's a lot of things that you guys could probably say about that, but that's just who I am. And so it all just really comes down to the fact that I will never, I will never again find myself in a position where I forget who I am. Because I have reached a place where, especially during what is happening, one of the things that I will say, like, for as awful as I feel about this, that it took what is happening now in my state for me to realize this about myself, is that I had been doing some weird, like, I don't even know if necessarily it was me doing weird stuff so much as like I was blind. I was blind to the fact that my actions weren't 100% aligning to my belief systems. I was sitting there saying, well, because Gaza isn't someplace I'm close to, me not speaking out emphatically about it and only saying, okay, I posted one or two things, so that's okay. That's enough. Now let me go about my life and act as if that those atrocities aren't still happening. When Ukraine got kicked off, posting one or two things, but then not actually doing the work of like sitting down and trying to remove demons off of people over there and helping to send healing there, like practically healing, not just the whole like I'm sending love and light. Bitches, okay, let me just say one thing, okay? I am at a point now where like if the max of what you can do energy wise is to just say, I'm just sending you love and light, okay, maybe that's all that you can attain, but I'm really curious. I'm going to challenge you to actually be like, is there more that you can do besides just sending love and light? Is there more that you can do? Is there more you can do with your mouth? Like, can you say more? Is there more that you can do with your fingers? Can you type more? Can you write more? Can you call more? Right? Like, I think that there is this idea that like if you do one thing, then one time that that's enough, and it's not. It's not. Until justice is had, injustice continues. And why do you think that we've made the progress that we have made, y'all? Newsflash, it's because people realized what I have realized, that they cannot sit back and say that one conversation, one private thought, one shared meme is enough. No, we didn't get civil rights because somebody posted one meme. We didn't get independence because we only fought one battle. If that was all it took, believe me, this we would be so much farther along, so much farther along, and yet we're not. We're not. We see each other, we see our society go back and forth. We take one or two steps forward, we take one or two steps back. These things are happening. Life is so fluid, society is so fluid. And honestly, like, I think that fluidity comes down to the fact that like people forget who the fuck they are. They forget that they actually have friends and neighbors and family members who don't look, think, or act like they do. And they still deserve rights. Right? And now I can already feel some of you guys, and we're gonna have a very different conversation later about like, well, if everybody deserves rights, then shouldn't we allow for the neo-Nazis to exist? Shouldn't we allow for white supremacists to be able to, act however they're going to act? That's a completely different conversation. And I actually think I want to bring somebody on to have that topic of discussion because I think it's a good one. I think we don't talk enough about that. We hear a lot of people from celebrities and influencers and politicians say like we want everybody to feel comfortable. We want everybody to feel like they belong. We want everybody to feel like they have rights. And we always say that with this understanding, right? With this like unspoken understanding that, or I shouldn't say unspoken understanding, this unspoken thought process in our own heads that we are talking about very specific individuals, right? We're talking about the woman who let's put ourselves into this position. We're a man, we're a cisgendered heteronormative male who has a belief that everybody deserves rights, but who that everybody is, who they're thinking about is the gay man. Who they're thinking about is the lesbian woman. Who they're thinking about is the trans individual who happens to not have maybe the same sexual preferences or who happens to not have the same like gender identity. That's who they're talking about. They're not talking about the KKKer. They're not talking about the neo-Nazis, right? Because in our minds, when we do that, we immediately talk about the they that we're talking about are the people who are just slightly different from us, but that we can still sort of align with. So when the KKKers say everybody deserves to be able to have their rights, like we deserve to have our rights, who they're talking about are people who are just slightly different in their approach, but has similar understandings as them. Okay? So that's going to be the skinheads, that's going to be the neo-Nazis, right? Like they're not going to go so far and say that the lesbian woman who doesn't want to have children is going to be and who's black is going to be the they that they're talking about, right? So this is a problem that we have in our society. Okay, and so we're going to have that conversation later. But I want to wrap this up in saying I hope that by listening to me explain like who the fuck I am, a person who is here to change the world truly and has now, yes, in light of like everything that's going on in the state, has realized I have not been doing enough. I have not been doing enough. I had really good values before. I had really good thought processes before. I believe that I believe that they were good. I believe that I was all like, we need to stick up for people. We need to have justice. We need to hold people accountable. People need to be responsible. We need to. and I'm a healer, and I'm here to help. I'm here to help heal not just people, but the planet. I'm here to leave it a better place. And yet, somewhere in there, I was acting lesser than what my words were saying. So, if anything, I'm grateful for this time period because it has opened up my eyes and my mind to where it was that I was failing. But let me say here and now that if you are irritated by the fact that I have been consistently talking about the injustices and the things that have happened, then you do not know who I am. And you need to get wise to who I am. And if you do not like it, you can unfollow. It's as simple as that. You can stop talking to me. We can no longer be acquaintances. And that can be on you, not on me. I'm giving you the out right now if you need it. If you need it. Not everybody will. Some people will sit and be like, oh, yep, she's got a different perspective, but we can still be friends. And that's fine. But accept the fact that I'm going to be talking about these injustices. I'm going to be going out there, putting my body at risk. I'm going to be going out there looking and making sure that my community is safe. I'm going to be talking about how shitty this is, how they are not following constitutional law. I'm going to be talking about how they're detaining and traumatizing children. I'm going to be making it very clear to you that they are coming for you too if you are not willing to stand up and fight against this shit. I'm going to continue to align my thoughts and beliefs with my actions more so than I have ever done before, because that is who I am. And if you did not know that, well, welcome. Welcome to finally understanding who I am. And I hope that by listening to this, you have figured out just a little bit more about yourself in either direction. Because at the end of the day, that is really what I think is one of the greatest things about life is that life is not just something to be experienced. It's about discovery. Discovery of, yes, the world and other people, but discovery of yourself. So, thank you for joining me for this Breath of Life Conversations, this Shits and Giggles episode. Next week, I wish I had something for you of like what we're going to be talking about, what we're going to be doing. I don't know. I don't know. This is one of those times where I don't have something queued up and ready. Let's let it be a surprise. Let's let it be a surprise. Not sure what it's going to be, but return next week and let's get into another conversation that will hopefully help open your eyes, help you to better understand or better question the world that you live in because it's necessary. And go out and be good people, guys. Go out and be your truest, most authentic self. And and in this case, I say that in all manners. If you are a person that is not okay with Black people, not okay with LGBTQ, not okay with anybody who doesn't look like you, who doesn't think like you, who wants to utilize the, holy books and bastardize them. Go and be you. Go and be that most authentic you. If that is truly the most authentic you, I have a feeling that it's not. But if you really, truly, honestly believe that that is your most authentic you, go and be that. And the reason why I say that is because we all need to know that you exist so that we can stay away from you. Truly. I tell people I want to know where the racists are. I want to know the people who look at my skin and know my heritage and they say, I don't need to know you. Just seeing that's enough. Knowing that about you is enough. And I hate you. I want to know where you are so that I can stay the fuck away from you. Truly. Unless you get in my way of trying to make this world a better place, I just want to stay away from you. And I don't need to talk to you. But I have a feeling, a very deep feeling, that most of the people on this planet are not that. They're not that. They're good people. They're people who believe that everybody, regardless of what your gender is or how you identify or your sexual orientation, that if you are not hurting anyone, you deserve to be able to live a life that benefits you. If you want to live in a big city, you should be able to live in a big city. If you want to live in a little hut on a large piece of land, you should be able to live in a hut in a large piece of land and create a beautiful life for yourself. I truly believe that there are a lot of people who truly, honestly, just want to live a life that suits them without hurting anyone around them. And building community of individuals that they love. I do believe in that. I believe most people are like that and are not out to hurt people. I do. So please go out and be your most authentic self. Let us know who you are. Don't Aaron Burr it and hide what you think and hide who you are. It serves no one, not even you. It serves no one, including you. So go out and be you. Remember who you are and and love yourself enough to do that for you. Love yourself enough to do that for you. Guys, thank you so much for joining me on this Breath of Life Conversations. I will see you next time on the next one. Bye.